up, guys? We are so back. I apologize for my lack of posting. Have I been busy? I don't really know how to put that into words. Like, yes, but not with schoolwork and not even necessarily with life. I feel busy. For reference, I was originally going to film this video at fall break, which was 2 weeks ago. So we are a little bit behind as to what I wanted to be posting. I was gonna make a 6-7 joke about how we are 6 to 7 weeks into college, but in the time that it has been 2 weeks, I've decided that that is immature and disgusting. So we're gonna get rid of that one. You may recall last year I posted this video, advice from a homesick freshman. It low-key did numbers. So we're back. We're back with advice from a homesick sophomore. Because I want to be the first one to tell you, it's okay to still be homesick as a sophomore. Homesickness does not equal failure. In fact, I think it's more of a testament to the fact that like you have strong support systems that you are grateful for. Making that mindset switch to say like, my homesickness is not a curse, I feel like it's cause for gratitude. It's all about the mindset. It's all about the mindset. I have my iPad with my notes for this video. I guess that's my first piece of advice, is I think everyone in college should have an iPad. I love her so much. Also, another reason that this video has been so delayed in being posted is like I get really scared when people tell me that they're like watching my YouTube videos. I have a lot of prospective students coming to the school and like telling me that they've watched my YouTube videos, which I think is really cool and I'm really excited about that. But then like once they actually get on campus, I like get a little bit scared that they're like watching it and now they have like these new perceptions of me. But then I tend to realize that like no one thinks about me as much as I think about me. There's really no reason for me to be concerned. Also, I like this. I think that filming these videos is good for me. If I really were to characterize like this point in fall semester, I would say it's like a time when you're really sort of in the thick of it. Like freshmen feel like they're more established on campus. The upperclassmen sort of have begun to like understand like the new role and the new perspective that these freshmen are going to have in bringing to college. So it definitely makes for like a really interesting time in like understanding sort of what the new normal is going to look like. It feels very like kumbaya, but there's also sort of this like underlying tension that like I don't think anyone can really put a name to. But I remember the feeling of feeling very like other at this point in my freshman year. I didn't know why I wasn't fitting in the way that I perceived other people to be fitting in. And I'm probably going to be one of the first people to tell you that that feeling doesn't necessarily wear off, but it sort of shape shifts into a new form. Weird cycle of like imposter syndrome to vindictive attitude to imposter syndrome in a different form, back up to imposter syndrome, vindictive attitude, imposter syndrome in a different form. So if you could just like bypass that vindictive attitude status, I think you're probably going to be pretty golden on that. The cure that I've sort of found for this is really just involving yourself in like what you are actually interested in. Like don't do something just because it seems to be the norm. It seems to be what every single other person is doing. I really felt this way for CMC culture, specifically surrounding sort of the party culture, the careerism culture, economic culture here. I just sort of realized that that wasn't necessarily what I was interested in. So when I stopped pretending to be interested in it, I would say that my life here improved like exponentially, is recognizing that like you don't have to fit the norm. You don't have to fit the stereotype. Then on the flip side, I began to involve myself in things that I was actually really interested in. I realized I was really interested in journalism, so I joined one of the student newspapers. I realized I was really interested in social media work, continued my YouTube channel, and I began working for admissions in the social media department. I really loved philosophy, so I switched my major to being a philosophy major. This is what I want to put my limited time and energy into, because everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. If you're wasting 6 of those hours on something that you're not interested in, it's really just like sort of sacrificing the gift you've been given of the 24 hours in a day. If I were to move on to talking about like relationships and friendships specifically in college, I would say that I approach these with a lot of thoughtful consideration. This might sound a little bit evil, but I need to like punctuate it afterwards to understand like a little bit more of what I'm talking about. After every single like interaction or conversation, I think to myself, in what way did that conversation serve both of us? How, after that conversation, do I feel about myself, and how did I make them feel about themselves? If the answer is bad to any of those questions, I would say that that's a testament that maybe that person is not meant to be your closest friend. Although part of it might be on you. If the answer is like, I'm the one who is making other people feel bad, ooh, maybe it's time to take a step back and reconsider. But if it's like, this person does not have a good attitude, they don't make me feel better about myself, and in turn, I'm not making them feel better about themselves, it might be a sign that you want to take a step back from that relationship. Now, I'm not a promoter of like absolutely cutting people off, because I think that everyone makes mistakes. Not everyone is going to be be your best friend, but that doesn't mean that you can't try to be friendly with everyone, but understanding that like these relationships need to be serving for both of you in order to be like a deep, rich, meaningful friendship. And then taking time to like really have gratitude for the friendships in your life that enrich your life. If you care about someone, tell them. If you love someone, tell them. I'm so over this like whole nonchalant era that like people seem to be in where they just don't tell people that they care. Remember I was talking about this with my friend when she came to visit me in February. I remember saying like I just need to be more nonchalant and like not tell people that I care, not tell people how things make me feel. Then she said something to me. I took it so much to heart and I really appreciated it. The most nonchalant thing you can do is to be chalant, because why do you care about what other people think about your own feelings? And I think that that's really true. It's like if you care about someone, tell them. It's so meaningful to have the ability and the opportunity to do that. I think that I've squandered that in the past. Don't want to do that anymore. So since February, I've sort of like taken on this mindset shift, and I think that it has improved my life. The next thing I'm going to say is very like buzzwordy and cliche, but cliches are cliches for a reason, and I need to punctuate this with like practical action steps on how to actually enact this piece of advice in your life. That piece of advice is staying true to yourself. This phrase doesn't give you much practical advice as to how to actually stay true to yourself, so I'm going to sort of give you the steps for that. I would say that college is a time when you reconsider a lot of who you are and who you want to be. I think college is a time when you have the opportunity to change your opinions and your ideas on something, but that doesn't mean that you're not open about the opinions you already have. This means a lot to me because I chose a school that was really focused on open dialogue. And I would say my freshman year, I didn't necessarily take advantage of that. I didn't really understand what it meant to actually share my opinions that may be more controversial. I would say that my time at CMC has been sort of marked with the word countercultural. I'm a Christian, I'm a conservative. That's not necessarily what CMC gives off. I mean, this isn't Liberty University or anything, and I didn't choose this school because I was like, this is going to be like the Liberty University of secular schools. I chose CMC because I didn't want a school that was like Liberty University. I didn't necessarily want to be what at the time I considered a groupthink bubble. My opinions on that have changed since. I don't regret my decision to attend a secular school, but I think I didn't necessarily understand how countercultural my life would be as a Christian, as a conservative on a liberal arts college campus. But I think you can't necessarily be timid about your opinions. Honestly, this all sort of like came to a head at the end of my freshman year. I wrote an article in our school newspaper saying that a writing center correcting students' grammar is not racist. Got like softcore canceled for saying that, but like whatever. And I'm not saying whatever in the fact that like those people's opinions don't matter, because in fact I really think that I had really good, interesting, good faith conversations with people who had very different opinions from me, and those weren't the people who were canceling me, weren't the people who were going to be upset for me having a different opinion from them. And that really taught me the power of having friends with different opinions than you who are willing to engage with you in good faith. Again, sort of goes back to the idea of like, where am I putting my friendship energy? I think my next piece of advice kind of goes back to the idea of like determining your priorities in college. And the question I've sort of learned to ask myself is like, what do I want my life to look like in 10 years? And then I choose to prioritize the things that will get me to that step of having my life look like that in the next 10 years. For example, I want to have a family. I want to have a good job. I want to be living in a city where I feel happy and I have a good faith community. So then for me, the important things to focus on then are my academics, learning, academia, and having just like really solid, deep friendships that enrich my life. Those are things that are going to help me along the steps of getting to where I want my life to look like in 10 years. I guess my final piece of advice is sort of about what you should do in regards to like your school and taking advantage of the resources. My big thing is like every college has resources that are completely free to students that you should be taking advantage of. There's free food, there's study space, there's career resources. And if you're choosing not to take advantage of those, you are completely wasting your money on going to college. College, unfortunately, in this day and age is no longer really about learning. I can make a whole video about that, but it's more about like who has the ability to learn how to use those resources. And if you're not getting practice with that right now, that's not good. You want to be able to be getting practice with that now and understanding those career resources, those learning resources, learning how to write. Unfortunately, the power of good discussion is no longer enough to get you a job. You need to know how to write. You need to learn how to network. You need to learn how to coffee chat. And so I think learning to take advantage of those resources is really what is going to determine your career outcomes. Honestly, I really don't like ending the video like that because I think it goes back to sort of the careerism culture that I've become disillusioned with, I'm gonna say something that's like arguably a little bit more controversial. It is okay if college is a slog and you are not having the greatest time of your life every single day. College is about you becoming the best version of yourself. That is what a liberal arts education is supposed to give you. And if that is your mission going into college, I think that that is completely achievable at every single university. It is about your mindset, not the environment that you're in. So if college is a slog for you because of your outside environment, it won't feel like a slog in your mind if you go in with a positive attitude. I find it so frustrating when people are in the environment that they're in and they're just constantly complaining about it, yet doing nothing to improve the environment for themselves, like having a mindset switch. You have the capacity to do it. If no one else believes in you, I believe in you. I say that my freshman year was arguably incredibly difficult at times, but coming into my sophomore year with that more positive mindset, I was able to have a much better first semester than the first semester of my freshman year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you are able to glean some sort of practical advice from this. To be making many more videos in the future about life at CMC.